Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Williams. I am a counselor, a trauma therapist, an art therapist, and a transformational coach. I wanted to do this video for you all to give you a little support and a little bit of information on what the heck is happening right now inside of most of us with the COVID-19 outbreak. So, I know a lot of you are uh, flabbergasted, might be the word, at folks who are hoarding toilet paper and laughing at people who might be trying to back away from you in the grocery store, right? And then at times you feel the same way that they do, right? I know that you feel all the things. Right now, most of us are feeling afraid, uncertain, confused, shocked. Some people are feeling calm. Some people are feeling grounded, centered. So I know that you feel these things too. And I know that the way that you feel changes day to day, minute by minute. Uh, and I also know that it depends on what you're doing with your body and with your thoughts. And I want to help with that information. So, before I give you some of the intellectual, brain based information to give you context about what's happening for everyone inside of themselves, I just want to give you a little bit of a grounding technique and calming technique. You can do it right now with me. That's going to help turn on the executive functioning part of your brain, this part right here, that is probably most often turned off for a lot of us during this time. So the credit goes to a lovely training that I just took at Hope Yoga in Cleveland, Ohio. And this technique is called ocean breath. Now, ocean breath is not the one that you know from yoga class, but what you're going to do is you're going to rub your hands together. And then you're going to pretend right now that you're holding a little seashell. Then you're going to take your hands up to your ears, and it might take you a second to kind of clasp them in a way that allows you to literally make them like a seashell around your ear. After that, what you're going to do is listen to your breath. And again, you might need to adjust your hands a little bit to get the right effect. So, 3 deep breaths is what it usually takes to reset your nervous system and calm your body down. Hopefully, you feel just a little more present in your body right now. If that's feeling uncomfortable, you can always go back to escaping. You can pause this video and come back to it later. It's all okay. So, right now, what's happening from a trauma professional's perspective is this. We all think that we're quite evolved, right, from our fellow mammals. But the truth is, we just have fancy mammal brains. Everything we do every day wires our brains. And we've been living in a culture that has been asking us, for the most part, to run our bodies ragged or use up our brains without moving your body all day long, right? We've been through events in our lives. We've had family issues. We've had loss. We've had grief. We've had trauma. And then what happens is we learn amazing, beautiful ways to adapt to those things. Maybe we learned at a young age that our feelings were really, really big and they were really scary. And there was no one there to help us to calm them down and to co regulate them. And so if we did that, chances are we shut them off. So then when they come back up, they're just so big and so scary and so overwhelming that the only thing we know to do is shut them off. And that works really, really well until it doesn't. It's been working well because we have our Netflix and we have our social media and we have all these things to scroll to just shut it down all the time. They call that distraction, right? Distraction is a coping skill, but that coping skill can only last for so long. So, here's a really good metaphor for what we do every day. In our brain, if we're rewiring it with everything we do, we've created super highways in our brains. You've probably seen those videos of neural pathways making connections, like something like 10,000 every second. With those neural pathway connections, we've created that super freeway to dissociation town, to distraction city, to caffeinate ourselves so that we can be productive, to get that paycheck, right? And now, all of a sudden, all that work that we've done every day in our brains and in our lives is halted. We don't know for how long. And now everyone's being asked to slow down and to stay inside. And so when you have been separated from yourself by all the things you do every day, that feels really freaking scary. Okay? It also feels really scary to connect with those feelings that are bubbling up inside of you, right? Like overwhelming. So there's no judgment about that. No judgment here, because we've all been part of the system one way or the other, whether we want to or whether we don't. Here we are. So what we're doing now in our brains, in our hearts, in our lives is that we're creating new neural pathways. We're creating new opportunities to do something different. That something different is that we get to create a new path. That's what this looks like. We've created this super highway right over here. It's going to take some time to build something over here. Over here we have a new path in the middle of the woods. You're pushing trees, branches away. Hopefully you have shoes on, you're prepared, but we don't know if there's predators. We don't know what's going to happen. We're mammals, right? So as we build this new neural pathway, it's going to take time. It's going to take breathing. Those breathing skills, they're not going to feel normal. Anything you do to cope right now isn't going to feel normal because your brain is working really hard to do something new. That's okay, right? We don't expect children to know their math facts tomorrow. We allow them to grow and develop over time. And that's what I'm asking you to do for yourself. To give yourself just a second of self-compassion and realize what's happening for you is probably a lot bigger than you really want to admit. And that's beautiful, and it's difficult. Let's talk a little bit more about how trauma affects you. So this, make sure you can see it, is all about that. See that line where it says I can and I can't? That's your level of window of tolerance. This is from traumaprevention.com, which is a beautiful resource right now as well. Basically what happens is we all have this window of tolerance. Inside this lovely little area right here, we feel great. We feel fine. We feel mostly able to get through whatever difficulties we're having, right? What happens when we're triggered to overwhelm, most of us are, right now, we don't know what to do with ourselves. We're either getting numb because we don't know what else to do, or we're feeling trapped and we're feeling afraid. And if we're feeling afraid, then we're probably stockpiling toilet paper or fighting with our loved ones or holding our breath. Whatever it is for you is individual to you. So we have to do anything we can to regulate ourselves. That includes that ocean breath that I just taught you. It really includes anything that you can do that calms your nervous system down and makes you feel more able to meet the challenges of whatever's in front of you at any moment. Your goal right now is literally just to learn to be present, to sit with your feelings as best as you can in any moment. And then lots of stuff is probably going to come out. But what I want to assure you, what I know from my own healing work and from working with so many people, is that I haven't seen a time where the feelings afterwards were any bigger than the difficulty of the actual thing that happened, right? If you lost someone, losing them was the horrible part of it. Losing them was the thing that happened. And that moment was terrible. But that moment is what's living inside of you right now. And it's past and you made it through. So you're much stronger than all of that. And I know that you can do it. And so what I'm going to do now is lead you through a few different coping types and a list of coping skills. And you might be surprised that most of them are just easy things that you do every day. So this last resource is one that comes from indigodiet.com. And it's honestly one that I give to almost every one of my clients. It's a beautiful rainbow sheet of coping skills. I'll put the link to any of these in the comments, okay? So you can look for them. You don't have to worry about finding them right now. Now, I mentioned distraction, right? That's our number one coping skill. Distraction is great, but maybe let's just try to do some other things. Gardening, if it's the right time of year for you, arts and crafts, cleaning and tidying, doing puzzles, jigsaws, conversation, listening to the radio, as long as it's supportive to you, right? It gives your heart and your mind a break, and it gets us through a crisis. And so there is 100% no shame in distraction, but we can't do it forever, and it doesn't resolve anything that's going on underneath, okay? The next one I've already talked about, which is grounding. We can use scents, we can use our bodies, if you have a stress ball or some Play-Doh, do something like that. Maybe you just slow down and you notice the way that your food tastes, or stop and name 5 colors around you. Walking around in the grass, doing yoga, meditating, or exercise is all going to help you connect with your body, feel a little less numb, and reduce the physical sensations that you're having of anxiety. Sometimes that's not going to work though, and it feels safer to just space out, and that's okay too. You can always come back to grounding. Now, another one is emotional release. Sometimes we have to yell and we have to cry and we have to, laugh out loud, and we have to pop some bubble wrap, right? And we can also use art to do that, and splatter paint, and I got lots of suggestions for how to do that with art, okay? Turn on some music and dance around. It's really important to do that for releasing fear and anger and overwhelming emotions that just feel like they're bubbling up inside of you. Yeah, people might think you're weird, but you know what? We're all doing what we can right now. And mostly if you're at home, you can do whatever you need to do. That's great. 3 more. So the next one is self-love. And yeah, normally you would be doing this by going to your salon, or you're, going to dinner with your friends and eating that delicious appetizer. But right now, you can still do it at home. Most folks probably have lotion. They can massage their own hands. They can give themselves a manicure, soak your nails. I'm sure there's tons of YouTube videos about how to do fancy designs if that's what you want to do and that's what makes you feel better. Take a bath, take a long shower, Marsha Brady your hair and brush it over and over, right? Give yourself a little love. It's not something that always feels the most important. It might feel superficial, but it's a really important place to start to be your own support worker. It's also great if you're feeling guilty or shameful about anything. You deserve to feel better. So, this one might be a little more challenging. It's literally called Thought Challenge. It helps you to change your long-term thinking habits and to be a little more logical instead of emotional. But it's hard to do when you feel emotional. So, if you're feeling emotional, maybe do something else first and then come back to the logic. There's a couple of things you can do. One of those would be to write down the negative thoughts that you're having and list all the reasons they might not be true. That one might be difficult right now. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do any of these things if you don't want to. One of my favorites is for you to imagine what you would say and do for someone you love. Because I guarantee that 90% of us at least, we treat our friends and family way better than we actually treat ourselves. So you would never shame your friends and family for feeling afraid right now. You would tell them that you're there for them, that you support them, that you love them, and it's okay for them to feel however they're feeling, right? So why not do that for yourself? Last but not least, especially right now, is to help other people. And granted, we can't get stuck helping everyone else if we're not taking care of ourselves. But it reminds us, even in these times of social distancing, that we're not in it alone, that we're all together. We can smile at someone from a distance. Obviously, right now, we can video call our friends and our loved ones. We can donate food if we have extra. There's also a lot of folks who are fostering or adopting animals right now because they need it too. So, whatever you can do for others, big or small, also helps you. It helps you feel less alone, and it helps feel like you're contributing in a way that maybe you've been stopped from being able to do right now. Okay? So, again, this is from indigodaya.com, and what I usually do with clients is I have them highlight the things that they already do, and on the back side is a whole big space for more. So you can write down new things. You can write down ocean breath on here. Any YouTube video of any yoga person or any therapist who's telling you some new skills to do, you can add them to this list. And then the beautiful part about that is you don't have to think about what to do. If you're feeling overwhelmed, keep this list by you and just go like, okay, what do I need to do? And then you take a deep breath and you look at it and you decide what you need to do for yourself right now. And if you're a parent, there is no greater gift that you can give your child than the ability to learn how to regulate these feelings, even in stressful moments. Granted, we're all stressed, we're all having a rough time, and you're not going to be perfect, but anything you do is going to help create that new pathway. It's a new adventure, and it's also a new neural pathway in your brain. So what you've just gotten is essentially a quick overview of the first couple of sessions of working with me in a therapy setting. If you're my client, you've probably already heard that information, right? And so what I want to offer is that if you want to work with me, the best part about it is that any path you take, you're still going to get pretty much the same outcome, which is a deeper connection to you, feeling more strong, more grounded, and more yourself than you ever have before. And that actually includes even in this time of crisis. You may wonder why I know that. And what I can tell you is I know that because I've done it. I'm doing it with the folks that I work with in my therapy, and I've done it for myself. I'm doing it every day right now. This morning, I felt frustrated. I felt dissociative. I just wished I could go back to bed. Yesterday, I felt excited and happy and ready to face any challenge that was in front of me. we're all in this together. And so while I know that money might be tight or your fear is getting the best of you, I want to give you the options for working with me. If you use traditional talk therapy and that's what works best for you, anybody in the state of Ohio I can work with. I do have an in person practice, and that in person practice will be back up and running as soon as we're back out of social distancing. And right now, I work online just like this. This is probably what you'll see behind me if I meet with you uh, electronically. Again, if you just want to do the talk therapy, that's available in the state of Ohio. If you're interested in art therapy, which we can also do electronically, I am available in most states. We can do that. Same thing, same place. Hopefully, you have a little bit of art supplies, but we can make almost anything work, especially right now. There are a few states where they license art therapists, and I want to respect their boundaries. And so, um, if you consult with me, we'll talk about that and which places they are. But beyond that, I'm nationally certified as an art therapist to work with most anyone. And then, if you're interested in really jumping in with both feet, you feel ready, you feel like you've done a lot of therapy, but you're still just missing something and something isn't right, we can talk about transformational coaching. Um, this has been, dare I say, transformational for me, my own experience of getting coaching. And I know that what folks are going to get from that from me is going to be the same. So, what I bring to the table is my own experience of healing through trauma, profound losses, and also my deep education in the brain, in counseling, expressive arts, and my own ever evolving awareness of the present moment. So, I look forward to seeing you on the other side.